Hey, what's up, you guys? Thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. You know, films and movies are such an instrumental part of our daily life, right? We always have that one that, if we're feeling sick, we'll go to it for comfort. Or, fellas, there might be that one rom-com that you'll make sure to watch with your lady at least once a year. And if you don't, get one. And also, The Notebook. Definitely The Notebook. But one thing about me is that I've spent a lot of my time not only watching every movie that I possibly could, but deconstructing it, understanding how these stories can affect us in such a way that we leave the theater or leave the viewing just resonating in an emotion that it instilled in us. It's beautiful. These are the 3 movies that changed how I look at life. And to kick us off, Pixar's Soul. If you haven't seen Soul, it was an amazing movie that came out in 2020 that followed Joe, the most passionate piano player that I think I've ever gotten to experience. Unfortunately for Joe, his passion didn't pan out the way that he wanted. He found himself in a job that he didn't love, trying to make ends meet, until one day, he got his big break. Unfortunately, it was also the day he died. Now we get to have this amazing view as Joe comes to as a soul, getting ready to depart and go into the great beyond. But he says no, that his time is not now, and that there's so much more. He just got his break, and he's not going to let that be taken away from him. So he goes against the grain of these souls, and he jumps off this bridge, and he falls into the great before. See, a lot of people talk about death as the big sleep. But how come nobody ever talks about the fact that we had to wake up? In this amazing animated film, we get to experience what that realm before life could have looked like. Where do souls come from? Where does consciousness come from? Who I am today, is that predetermined before I was born? Well, Soul says yes. It shows us a place before time, beyond time, where a soul gets to mature and become ready to live a life. Now, as the film progresses, we get to see Joe fight and fight and fight to get back into the world, and I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but it does lead us perfectly into our second film, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. If you have not seen The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, I highly suggest you actually watch it right now, because every time that I watch that film, I am so reinvigorated about life. I want to get out and dream again. So if you don't know, Walter Mitty is just a guy who works at Life magazine. He's a photo asset manager, which means he takes the prints to put them on the cover. His whole life, he struggles with daydreaming, escaping his reality, going somewhere better. And in these amazing visual recreations of his daydreams, we see what he wants out of life, what he truthfully wants to be doing with his time. And as the story progresses and situations arise, he starts living, he starts doing. And the most amazing part about the film is the further you get into the story, the less he's daydreaming. All these amazing things that happen, they're real. You know, it's such an amazing message that we can sit here and think so much and so hard about what we want to be doing that it distracts us from actually going out there and doing it. You know, here's somebody who you would never take a second look at and be like, oh no, he's probably just a regular guy. You know, an NPC, if you will. But then you get to see what he accomplishes. You get to see what he grows into, what he changes into, and if that doesn't send a chill down your spine, I have one more shot too. Our final film, These Lovely Bones. These Lovely Bones is a film that I actually stumbled onto a little bit later in life. From the amazing mind of Peter Jackson, he brings us Sammy Salamander. No. Sally. Susie. These Lovely Bones is a film that when I saw for the first time, I was silent for a good amount of time. I really needed to sit and understand what I had just witnessed. So we could follow Susie Salmon, just a regular young girl living in the 70s, I believe. Unfortunately, her story is not that easy. And the reality is she gets murdered, and we follow her from beyond helping her dad find her killer. Which, by the way, her dad's Marky Mark, and that's just, you know, it's fantastic. When I say that this film silenced my fear of death, I mean that with as much weight as it carries. You know, the most human fear that I've ever had in my life is what comes next. Well, Susie shows us. It's beyond. It's this amazing, beautiful realm that we can't even understand, a dimension so far past what we can even conceive, that the second you get there, no matter how you get there, you're calm, you're aware. And as Susie's dad goes down the path of trying to find who killed his daughter, Susie is in this other realm communicating to him through amazing means, ones that we consider supernatural. See, Susie's story is a tragic one, and if you watch the film, you'll know why there's a pit in my stomach right now. But at the same time, it's beautiful. It shows us that this little girl who we want to feel bad for, she's saying, no, don't feel bad for me. Don't feel bad for me. I'm here. I am okay. Move on with your life. It's hauntingly beautiful, and it sticks with you. And now for the keen-eye people out there, you've probably noticed that there was a slight linear connection between all three of those, starting with the great before, leading into a life, and then leading into the great beyond. And through those, there's always the questions of, well, what if, how if, why? See, it's so human to be afraid of the unknown. What came before? What's happening now? What's coming later? It's not for us to know. What is for us is to live now, to get out of our daydreams and make it a reality. To say, no, I don't accept this, I'm finding my own way, and going and doing it. I hope you guys really enjoyed this deconstruction of a couple of films and the connection that I put between them. You know, I'm somebody, I could really sit here and talk for hours about movies. It's something that I'm passionate about. I even spent some time in college studying filmmaking, and if this is something that you enjoyed, I would love to hop on here and do it again, but that's all that I have for you today. So I hope that you have an amazing one. I'll see you next time, and really quick, since we're talking about movies, go watch Wonka. Alright, that's all I'm gonna say. Take it easy, guys.